The U.S. military has airlifted non-essential embassy personnel from Haiti. Washington has also deployed additional forces to bolster the security of the embassy. This comes amid escalating tensions in Haiti as violent gangs threaten to bring down the government. On Friday, the gangs burned down 2 police stations in the capital, Port-au-Prince, and released the prisoners detained there. Sudan's army general has said that there will be no truce for the holy month of Ramadan. They said that they won't agree to a truce until the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group withdraws from civilian areas. A senior Sudanese army general ruled out the ceasefire yesterday. The statement was issued after the United Nations Security Council called for a stop in fighting during Ramadan. The war between Sudan's army and the RSF erupted in April 2023. It has led to tens of thousands of deaths. At least one person was killed in a blast in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, yesterday. The explosion in Bakara market ripped through dozens of shops. Somalian authorities believe that the blast was caused by an improvised explosive device that was placed near the market. It was the second blast in Bakara in just over a month. The leader of Portugal's centre-right Democratic Alliance has claimed victory in the country's general election. With almost all votes counted, the Democratic Alliance had almost 30% of the votes and was ahead of Portugal's Socialist Party. The party's leader, Luis Montenegro, also said it was unclear if he could govern without support from the far-right Chega party. Earlier, he had promised not to rely on the Chega party to govern nor strike any deals with them. Ukraine has rejected Pope Francis's call to hold negotiations with Russia. In his nightly address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hit out at the Pope's comments without directly mentioning him. Pope Francis had earlier said that Ukraine should have the courage to raise a white flag and come to the negotiating table with Russia. Meanwhile, Russia launched early voting for its presidential election in the Ukrainian city of Donetsk yesterday. Last year, Russia had announced that it would conduct voting in the parts of Ukraine that it had annexed. This includes parts of the Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson regions. However, Ukraine says that any Russian election activity in the region will be null and void. A man was arrested after crashing his car into the gates of Buckingham Palace in central London. The police said that there were no reported injuries and the man has been released on bail. It added that it is not treating the matter as terror-related. The crash has damaged the entry gates. They have since been covered with wooden boards and a metal fence has been erected in front of the palace entrance. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has hit out at his ally, US President Joe Biden. Netanyahu has refuted Biden's comment over his handling of the Israel-Hamas war. Over the weekend, Biden said that the Israeli Prime Minister's approach to the war was, quote-unquote, hurting Israel more than helping Israel. However, Netanyahu retorted that Biden was wrong in assuming this. Meanwhile, Israel's President Isaac Herzog faced pro-Palestinian demonstrators as he arrived in Amsterdam yesterday. He was there to inaugurate the National Holocaust Museum in the Netherlands. Activists called for a Gaza ceasefire and gathered in a square near the Holocaust Museum. Some protesters climbed onto police vans and threw eggs at the vehicles. Meanwhile, others chanted "Ceasefire now" slogans while holding Palestinian flags. Taiwan's top security official has said that Chinese forces are trying to normalize drills near Taiwan. He added that China runs patrols near Taiwan every 7 to 10 days on average. China reportedly dispatches around 10 warplanes and 3 to 4 ships on joint patrols near Taiwan. Taipei says this is part of Beijing's multi-front effort to increase pressure on the self-governed island. South Korea has said that it will deploy military physicians to the hospitals hit by the country's ongoing doctors' strike. Some 20 military surgeons and 138 public health doctors will be assigned to 20 hospitals for 4 weeks. Last month, around 12,000 trainee doctors at 100 hospitals went on strike. They are protesting against the South Korean government's plan to increase medical school admissions. The doctors say that the government should first address their pay and working conditions before trying to ramp up the number of new doctors. In Pakistan, hundreds of supporters of former Prime Minister Imran Khan took to the streets yesterday. They were protesting against the alleged rigging of the February 8th elections. The protesters chanted slogans and held banners calling for the release of Khan, who has been in jail for months. The demonstrations coincided with the swearing-in ceremony of Pakistan's new president, Asif Ali Zardari. In India, farmers continue to protest and demand better prices for their crops. Yesterday, the farmers blocked railway tracks at the border between the states of Punjab and Haryana. They stopped trains and chanted slogans while sitting on the railway tracks. In climate news, torrential rains have triggered landslides and floods in the Indonesian province of West Sumatra. Authorities say that at least 19 people have been killed in rain-related incidents in the province. The floods have forced more than 70,000 residents to evacuate. They have also damaged around 700 homes in the region. Indonesia's weather agency has warned of further damage from floods and landslides in the coming days. Authorities have declared a state of emergency in Bolivia's capital, La Paz. This comes after flooded rivers destroyed numerous houses in the city over the weekend. Bolivian President Luis Arce has pledged to send 3,000 troops to prevent further damage. Bolivia's government data shows that at least 50 people have died in floods across the country since January. A powerful storm brought rainfall and heavy winds to the eastern coast of the U.S. this weekend. In the state of Maine, thousands of people were left without power due to strong winds. Meanwhile, floodwater inundated coastal towns in the state of New Hampshire. According to the U.S. National Weather Service, more than 16 million people along the East Coast were under coastal flood warnings. Parts of the United Arab Emirates witnessed heavy rain and thunderstorms on Saturday. In the city of Dubai, as many as 13 flights were diverted to nearby airports. Meanwhile, lightning storms were observed in the capital, Abu Dhabi. Authorities across the UAE issued warnings urging residents to stay indoors and avoid beaches. Meanwhile, severe storms hit the city of Fray Bentos in southwestern Uruguay. Videos showed a storm tearing through the streets and strong winds violently shaking trees. Officials say multiple buildings and power lines were damaged in the aftermath of the storms. Europe is not prepared for the escalating global climate crisis. This is according to a report by the European Environment Agency. The report says that Europe needs to be better prepared for catastrophic climate risks, ranging from floods to deadly heat waves. The report also adds that Europe has warmed up more than any other continent since the Industrial Revolution. Climate activists threw red paint at a hotel in Portugal's capital, Lisbon, yesterday. The protest took place when the country was waiting for its parliamentary election results. The climate group Climaximo was behind the protest. The group asked people to join its climate resistance. Police officials have detained 4 people in connection with the demonstration. On to business and tech news. The Japanese economy has dodged a recession. The Japanese government has revised the GDP data of the last quarter of 2023, and it now shows a 0.4% growth. Earlier, it was reported that the country's economy had contracted for 2 straight quarters, sending it into a technical recession. However, the GDP data revision by the government was less than expected. A decline in private consumption, which makes up almost 2/3 of Japan's GDP, has been of key concern. China is reportedly planning to raise more than $27 billion as part of the country's largest ever chip fund. The capital is being raised from local governments and state companies. It's expected to push the development of cutting-edge technologies for advanced chips in the country. This comes amid growing US restrictions to prevent the transfer of chip technology to China. Meanwhile, the US will reportedly grant more than $5 billion to Taiwanese chipmaker TSMC. This is part of the US government's incentive scheme to boost chip production in America. TSMC is investing about $40 billion to set up a chip plant in the US state of Arizona. The US airline Delta is reportedly expecting the delivery of Boeing 737 MAX 10 aircraft to be delayed to 2027. Delta Airlines ordered 100 MAX 10 jets in 2022. They were expected to receive these jets in 2025. However, the order is now expected to arrive 2 years late. The delay comes amid a US regulatory probe of Boeing's 737 jets over safety concerns. Cabin crew members at the German airline Lufthansa have called for a 2-day strike. The flight attendants union is demanding higher pay and benefits. The cabin crew members will walk out from the job on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. Lufthansa has said that about 100,000 of its passengers will likely be affected by the strike. Meanwhile, the pilots of Australia's regional airlines Network Aviation and QantasLink are also going on strike this week. These airlines are subsidiaries of Qantas Airways. Network Aviation and QantasLink pilots have been negotiating higher pay with the airlines for over 18 months. However, the pilots' union and the airlines have failed to reach a deal. Social media platform Reddit is reportedly expected to raise around $750 million in its upcoming initial public offering. Last month, Reddit announced plans to list its shares on the New York Stock Exchange. The report says that the firm is planning a sale of around 22 million shares. Reddit is seeking a valuation of $6.5 billion in the IPO. Chipmaker Nvidia has been sued for using copyrighted books to train its AI platform, Nemo. 3 authors have claimed that their works were part of the dataset that helped train Nemo. Nvidia allegedly used over 190,000 books to train its AI model to simulate ordinary written language. The training dataset was removed last year due to reported copyright infringement. Long-form videos on the social media platform X will soon be available on smart televisions. This is according to the platform owner Elon Musk. X, formerly known as Twitter, reportedly plans to launch an app for Amazon and Samsung smart TVs next week. Tech giant Microsoft has said that hackers linked to Russia's foreign intelligence service are trying to break into its systems. The hackers are allegedly using stolen data to get into Microsoft's system. In January, a hacker group named Midnight Blizzard gained access to some of Microsoft's corporate email accounts. Now, Microsoft says that the hackers are trying to use this data to gain unauthorized access to its systems. Moving on to sports. In cricket, India stayed invincible at home by completing a 4-1 Test series win against England. This was India's 17th consecutive Test series win at home. India trounced England by an innings and 64 runs in Dharamshala. England were bowled out for 195 in their second innings. Indian spinner Ravichandran Ashwin claimed 5 wickets in that innings. India now top the ICC rankings in all 3 cricket formats. This comes after the team's stunning victory against England in the Test series. The men in blue are also at the top of the ICC World Test Championship standings table. Australia beat New Zealand by 3 wickets in the second Test at Christchurch. The visitors were floundering at 80 for 5 while chasing a target of 279. Wicketkeeper Alex Carey led the run chase with his unbeaten 98. He shared a 140-run partnership with Mitch Marsh. In football, the Premier League blockbuster between Liverpool and Manchester City ended in a 1-all draw yesterday. John Stones gave City a first-half lead. Liverpool equalled through Alexis McAllister's second-half penalty. The Reds are now second in the points table, but level on 64 points with Arsenal. Arsenal had moved to the top of the Premier League by beating Brentford 2-1 on Saturday. The Gunners took the lead through Declan Rice's goal in the 19th minute. Yoann Wissa equalised for Brentford just before half-time, but then an Arsenal header in the 86th minute sealed the match for the Gunners. In tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic made a winning comeback to the Indian Wells. He survived a scare from Alexander Vukic in the first round, but Djokovic held on to secure a 6-2, 5-7, 6-3 victory. This is the first time Djokovic is competing at the event since 2019. World number 3, Jannik Sinner of Italy, showed no signs of slowing down. Sinner trounced 25th seed Jan-Lennard Struff 6-3, 6-4 to reach the 4th round of the Indian Wells Masters. This was Sinner's 17th win in a row. The Italian still remains unbeaten in 2024. In badminton, world number 1 duo Satwik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty captured the BWF French Open title. The Indian duo beat their opponents from Chinese Taipei 21-11, 21-17 in just 36 minutes. It was the shortest contest on the day of the Super 750 tournament. This is Satwik and Chirag's first title of the calendar year. In Formula One, Red Bull team principal Christian Horner admitted that Max Verstappen could leave their team. The F1 champion hinted at quitting Red Bull after winning the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Verstappen warned of consequences should his mentor and team advisor Helmut Marko leave. The Russian Football Union presented the new kit for the national football team yesterday. This comes ahead of their friendly matches against Serbia and Paraguay. Their previous sponsor, Adidas, terminated the uniform deal with the Russian national football team. It was in response to the Russian military operation in Ukraine. In entertainment news, filmmaker Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer emerged as the big winner at the 96th Academy Awards. The film took home 7 Oscars after being nominated in 13 categories. Oppenheimer won the Best Picture award, while Nolan was named the Best Director and Cillian Murphy the Best Actor. Meanwhile, Robert Downey Jr. clinched his first ever Oscar as the Best Supporting Actor for his performance in Oppenheimer. Greek filmmaker Yorgos Lanthimos' comedy sci-fi Poor Things has bagged 4 Oscars this year. Emma Stone claimed her 2nd Academy Award, winning the Best Actress trophy for her role in the film. The movie also won in other categories like production design, makeup and hairstyling, and costume design. Meanwhile, singer Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas O'Connell created history by winning their 2nd Oscars this year. Their song What Was I Made For the hit film Barbie bagged the trophy for original soundtrack. The sibling pop duo have now become the youngest talents to win 2 Oscars at under the age of 30. The Oscars ceremony took a wild turn when actor John Cena walked on stage unclothed. He appeared on stage without clothes to present the award for Best Costume. Cena used an envelope to barely cover himself on stage. The move was apparently aimed at highlighting the importance of costumes. His iconic entry has now gone viral on social media. Of High School Musical fame, Vanessa Hudgens is expecting her first child with her husband, Cole Tucker. She flaunted her baby bump while posing for photos on the red carpet at the Oscars. This was the 35-year-old hosted the Oscars red carpet with Julianne Hough. Hudgens and Tucker tied the knot in December last year. Hundreds of pro-Palestinian protesters gathered outside the Hollywood's Dolby Theatre ahead of the Oscars ceremony. They blocked roads leading to the venue, prompting a delay in the Oscars schedule. The protesters also chanted slogans like Free Palestine and Oscars, Shame on You outside the theatre. This forced the police to beef up security around the theatre. Meanwhile, the 17th edition of the Asian Film Awards took place in Hong Kong yesterday. Japanese drama Evil Does Not Exist won the trophy for Best Film. Meanwhile, Japanese filmmaker Hirokazu Koreeda won Best Director for his mystery drama Monster. Japan's Yakusho Koji and China's Jiang Qinqin bagged the Best Actor and Actress awards. Kristina Pliskova of the Czech Republic won the title of Miss World this year. The 24-year-old was crowned in a ceremony held in India's Mumbai city. Additionally, Lebanon's Yasmina Zeytoun emerged as the first runner-up. Contestants from 115 countries competed at the beauty pageant. Britain's Princess Kate Middleton released her first official photo since her abdominal surgery. The photo featured Middleton and her 3 children, George, Charlotte and Louis. The picture was posted online by the Kensington Palace. However, many news agencies have claimed that the photo is manipulated. The Princess of Wales was hospitalized over a surgery on the 16th of January. The 4th installment of Kung Fu Panda has knocked out Dune Part 2 at the box office. The Jack Black starrer opened with over $58 million in the US. Meanwhile, Dune Part 2 managed to earn $46 million in its second week of release. However, the sci-fi drama has collected more than $367 million worldwide.